I know Christmas is approaching, but I can't help myself from being and feeling so happy already, right? Because I feel like with the start of this anime, or ever since this anime has started, every day felt like Christmas. You know, like every day felt like a new day, a day to look forward to. It's a day where just filled with happiness, joy, and just love all around. Hey, hi, how are you? My name is Rindo, and I talk a lot about this manga right here in this channel. And for today's video, let's get into discussing the 7th episode of the 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You manga series, or should I say anime series. I keep repeating manga. I really apologize for that. This whole entire episode kicks off right in, well, Kusuri's debut chapter, right? It kicks off when Rentaro runs past the stall or the corridor with Hakare, Karane, Shizuka, and Nano, and passes by the chemistry club where he locks eyes with a mysterious girl in a lab coat, right? Now, Rentaro approaches the chemistry club and runs into Kusuri, right? The medicine-loving, and I really want to say medicine a lot in this video, that term rather, when describing the passion that Kusuri has, right? Because, well, it is in the part of the pun in her name, right? Medicine, Kusuri, or drugs, so to speak, right? Medicinal drugs, however way you want to spin it that way, right? But yeah, Kusuri is this really lovable person, right? Very high-spirited and playful, and throughout this entire first interaction that she has with Rentaro, she plays along with him and showing around her different concoctions, so to speak, right? I'm really glad that they really did stay faithful to the adaptation with the way that it's adapted. I really love it. But one thing that was, that was not included, so to speak, right? And this was also really pointed out by a lot of fans as well. It's that moment when the whole Nanoda bit, right? To you that may sound like a bit of mumbo jumbo coming out of me, but if you let me explain, right? Now, Kusuri is this character who has this sort of gimmick of which at the end of her sentences she would say Nanoda, right? So like Kusuri Nanoda, or I love Rentaro Nanoda, something like that, right? Along those lines. The way that when Rentaro first heard of it, right? There was a scene of which when Rentaro hears when Kusuri saying that, right? The Nanoda part, he was reminded of Nano because, well, Nano and Nanoda sounds so familiar, and it reminds him of her, right? And there's a sort of really nice moment where he thought it was just so cute. That whole entire bit was adorable, and that part as well was not placed into the anime, and it was even addressed by the anime's director about which they shared on Twitter or X about a storyboard, or the storyboard that initially contained that scene, but unfortunately it was cut due to the length, right? Or it consumed too much time, so to speak, right? Or there was not enough time, somewhere along those lines. And although it's quite unfortunate, right, to miss that sort of moment, I'm actually really glad with how the episode turned out either way. Kusuri in anime, or when just seeing her from the promotional videos alone, fam, she's so energetic. I really love her so much. The actions and everything that she does to portray Kusuri's playfulness and cheerfulness, all her energy is delivered well into the anime adaptation, right? Ayaka Asai-san, who is the voice actress who plays Kusuri, did a tremendously amazing job to deliver Kusuri's character so well. Throughout this entire episode, right, we get to see Kusuri's weird side, but also her fun side, and especially towards her passion towards chemistry, I should say, or more specifically on medicine. Fast forward rather, Kusuri confesses to Rentaro, then Rentaro suffers from this a seizure dance, so to speak, right? And then appears, or we get to see now the true form of Kusuri, right? Who is this seemingly level-headed senpai of a person with a voice that's giving mommy vibes, fam. Oh my lord! I knew from listening from the promotional videos alone, right, of senpai Kusuri, about the amazingness and delightfulness in her voice, right, in her senpai voice. but seeing it through in this anime, right? And hearing it rather in this anime is just a whole level of like of I feel at awe by how amazing the performance of adult Kusuri's voice is, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I believe Ayaka Asai-san also plays the adult version or the senpai version of Kusuri, right? Now, if you're wondering about this senpai version, Chuchu, Mumbo Jumbo, well, to put it in a really simple way, Kusuri has this sort of potion of hers, a medicine that allows her to transform between a child form and a senpai form. And the reason for that is because she wanted, the reason why she transforms into the child form, right, so to speak, is because she can do experiments effectively with that, or somewhere along those lines, right? But hey, just aside from that whole, explanation, right? Well, it is what it is, right, fam? It's fiction, right? And that sort of essence, right, is what really makes her shine so much because of how funny and comedic she is when she's always paired rather with a lot of the the moments when she has to deal with medicine and such, right? Rentaro, right? We then cut to the part where Rentaro accepts her confession back, right? And that sort of essentially concludes the first half of the episode, as well as the chapter that Kusuri ends, right? Now here's the sort of question, right, that some of you may run into your minds, especially if you're a newcomer or someone who is new to the series, right? Now, some of you may question, right, or if you do question as to why or if the story is fast-paced, so to speak, right? But unlike the previous girls who had episodes dedicated to them, right? For instance, Hakari, Karane, Shizuka, and Nano, right? How about Kusuri? Why does Kusuri's episode felt like it's too rushed, right? Now, this actually really checks out perfectly. It's actually the right pacing to that of to how the manga also paced the story of Kusuri, right? Now, for a frame of reference, right, Hakari and Karene's episode, or debut chapter rather, in the manga contained about around 60 pages, right, in the chapter, and it delivered really so well in containing all of that into one episode, into the first episode, right? And then followed by Shizuka's entire storyline, or Shizuka's chapter, containing about 40 pages. That's already including the moment when Shizuka met Rentaro and that whole journey that they had leading up to their confession. For Nano's chapter, yes indeed, the first chapter of which Nano debuted contained about 20 episodes, right, in her debut chapter, but it was followed by a dedicated chapter to explore more of her personality, which is the amusement park date, right, which also contained 20 pages. So that date, or the chapter of which Nano was debuted and the chapter of which she had a date with Rentaro, right, was all delivered well into the single episode, or into that one episode of which Nano debuted. And it wasn't until the next episode of which she was then introduced to the other members of the family, right, or to Hakari, Karane, and Shizuka. And the same goes for Shizuka as well. Shizuka had a dedicated episode to her, right, or an episode that focused on Shizuka only, and then in the following episode, she was introduced to Hakari and Karane. But for Kusuri, right, in the first half of the series, or the first half of the episode, I should say rather, it was her debut, and then in the second half, she was then introduced to the family, right? Essentially, in the next chapter, she was introduced to the other girlfriends. Well, indeed, you might say, well, why don't we get to see more of this character, right? Or is this character enough to make you already hook into her, right? And although I do acknowledge and I do agree that it does indeed take time for people to get used to, or to fall in love rather, with a character, for Kusuri, fam, in my opinion, at first glance, or when I first met her already, manga and even in this anime, I fell right in love with her character so much. She's so fun to be with. She's such a fun character to have around. The way that this works, fam, is, of course, say it with me, let it cook. right? Let it cook, let the chapter cook, because indeed the following chapters after this will indeed have moments between Rentaro and Kusuri, of which indeed their love will be tested, so to speak, right? It will their love will be tested, and it will be, you know, it will grow even more, right? And that whole debate, or sorry, that whole conflict and storyline around that is incredibly beautiful, of which I'll also get into right now. In terms of Kusuri having that moment between Rentaro and herself, of course, there's certainly that, right? But indeed, fam, the way that this whole adaptation really spins itself or directs itself is really incredibly good. I'm so glad it really stays faithful towards the manga's pacing, while also adding a bit of anime originals here and there. And speaking of anime originals, fam, you know, well, we get to see this moment of which Kusuri gets along well with the other girlfriends, right? Sharing with them all sorts of potions, the different concoctions that she has personally made for each one of them, and all of those is, you know, really fun. There's a lot of cute and wholesome moments, and moments that essentially tug your heartstrings here and there, right? You know, classic Hyakuno stuff. But when it came to Hakuri's bit, right, with the drug, so to speak, that Kusuri gave her, the medicine that Kusuri, the potion that Kusuri gave her. Well, God bless anime originals. Now, this happy moment continues on until we reach the moment of conflict, or the sort of power problem, right? Of which it triggers the next arc, which is essentially this Resident Evil Biohazard kiss zombie arc, right, where the girls are under the effects of a medicine that turns them into this zombie that wants to kiss the person that they love so much, which is, you know, Rentaro. It may sound really weird, but, you know, that's manga for you, man. And aside from the amazing animation, which of course they have done beautifully, not only towards drawing really cute and beautiful girls and amazing in highlighting their cuteness, but also doing really amazing action sequences as well, right? You know, the entire story of episode 7 was amazing. It delivered perfectly well to really capture Kusuri's lovability, and to also have more moments of which the family, or Hakari, Karane, Shizuka, and Nano are also featured there, you know, to have some fun all around, right? And yeah, can't wait for the next episode. And with that being said, thank you for listening, family, and take care.